Hi, I'm going to be taking you through a step-by-step process on how to fill out the landlord portion of the Emergency Rental Assistance Program application. Before getting started, you'll want to make sure you have a few pieces of information in front of you. You'll want to make sure that you have the lease for the rental unit that is requesting the assistance. You'll want to make sure you have your banking and direct deposit information. You'll need proof of property ownership if your name is not listed as the landlord on the lease, and you'll also need a W-9. You'll know when it's your turn to start the application when you receive an email regarding your tenant's application. Once you receive that email, you can follow the steps listed in the email to create your account and fill out your portion of the application. I can show you what that email will look like. So this is the email that you'll receive notifying you that your tenant has applied for rental assistance. Their name will be listed here in the email and give you instructions on how to follow the steps to apply. Hopefully, your tenant has also included in the message their address. Again, you'll go through the instructions. You'll want to make sure that you read all of this carefully. There are some key pieces of information. The most important here to note is that accepting to complete this recommendation includes providing all of the following required information. Again, that includes the information I just provided, such as the lease, W-9, and ACH direct deposit information, as well as confirming the months and amounts requested for the assistance, and that can be up to a total of 12 months. And you want to make sure you follow all of this. And once you're ready to go ahead and start your application, you can click Give Recommendation. That will take you to this page where you can create your account on the application site. You'll be able to list your name, choose your email address and password, and when you're ready, you can create your account. And that'll bring you to your tenant's form that was sent to you. Again, there are instructions at the top on how to complete this portion of the application. You can always refer back to this. I recommend reading this if you need that additional assistance. So once you are ready to get started, you can begin by entering your name, your address, you'll want to enter your phone number and make sure you have the dashes in between each section of the phone number, and you'll want to list your email. Once you're ready to move forward with that, you can indicate how many bedrooms are included in the rental unit. You'll want to make sure this matches the lease. And the options are from studio to 5 bedrooms, so you'll click the one that applies for that rental unit. You'll also then be asked to indicate the monthly rent amount, not including fees. And you can enter that here. The next thing that you'll see is that your tenant is requesting the following months of past due rent and also requesting future rent. Now again, they cannot exceed 12 months. You'll want to make sure that the months they're requesting are accurate. So this tenant is requesting 3 months of past due rent and 2 months of future rent. It's important to note that the landlord agrees to future rent payments. If the landlord agrees to them, the landlord cannot evict during the months that rent has been paid. Once you're ready, you can decide if this is correct. You can check yes and move on through the application. If it is not correct, you can click no, and you can correct the error listed above. So maybe your tenant asked for 3 months of past due rent when really you know that they owe 4, but you're okay with them getting 2 months of future rent, so you can list that here. And then it's important to put the explanation of why you've changed that. And again, you'll need to enter the total number of months that you're looking to claim. So this should equal, you'll pull this drop down, and this should equal the number of months listed here for forward and past due. So that would be 6 in this case. This will bring out a box, and you can fill in the exact months and the amounts that you're requesting assistance with. So if we're thinking about past due rent, you want to list that first. Make sure you also list the year. And let's say $500. Now this amount again can include rent, fees, etc., included utilities. But you'll want to make sure you list each one, and I'll show you that you can enter the dates in different ways. So I entered the 4 months of past due rent, and now I'm going to include the forward months that the tenant is requesting that I as a landlord would agree to. You'll want to make sure that the total of 6 months requested here does look accurate. It totals it at the bottom. It takes these numbers and sums them in there here. So once you're ready to move forward, you can click next. And then you'll go through this information. Do you have a written lease for this tenant? If yes, you're going to upload a copy of the lease. If no, you're going to have to upload a copy of a ledger, proof of tenancy, or invoice for this tenant. So I'm going to click yes to having a lease, and I can click upload, go to my files, and upload the lease. You're also going to upload your W-9. That way we can send you the correct 1099 at the end of the tax year. So again, if you can upload the file if you already have that, but if you don't have a W-9 and you need to fill that out, you can click download, and it'll download it, and you'll be able to open that up, fill it in, and upload it. I do have a W-9. I do have a W-9, so I can insert that here. And again, I want to read this statement to you for proof of ownership. Please upload proof of ownership for the applicable residents. The acceptable proof of ownership documents might include, but are not limited to, a copy of the deed, sales contract, most recent property tax receipt, a copy of the mortgage, or proof of homeowner's hazard insurance for the most recent year. So again, you can click that upload button, choose your file, and insert that. You can also indicate if your business is considered a certified minority, women, or disadvantaged business enterprise. If you select yes, you'll be asked to upload the file. That's a copy of your certification. or you can select no, and you will not be asked to upload that. And then you can proceed forward. Again, at the top of the page, you'll note the instructions for completing the application. You can always refer back to those. You will then be asked to fill out the vendor ACH direct deposit authorization form. This is a fillable form. You don't have to upload or download any additional documents. So you can enter this information. You'll want to make sure that this information matches the payee on the W-9. Here you'll enter your bank information. You'll want to enter the name of the account holder. You'll enter your number, your bank number, and you'll enter your routing number, and you'll decide if it's checking or savings account. You can check either of those. You're then going to come down to this approvals or authorization section. This section states, I certify that the information provided on this form is correct, and I hereby authorize Community Progress Council, Inc. Fiscal Office to electronically deposit to the bank account designated above. Please note that it also states it is my responsibility to notify CPC Housing Department, and the email is listed, immediately if I believe there is a discrepancy between the amount deposited to my bank account and the amount of the anticipated payment. I understand that I must notify CPC Fiscal Department in writing immediately of any changes in status or banking information. And finally, I understand that the authorization will remain in full force and effect until CPC Fiscal has received written notification requesting a change or cancellation and has had reasonable opportunity to act on it, which should take no longer than 7 to 10 business days. You'll then be asked to sign. If you're on a computer, you can use the mouse. If you're filling this out with your phone or a tablet, you can use your finger. And you can fill that in. If you have to redo that, you can click clear, but when you're ready to proceed, you can click next. You'll then be taken to this additional certification of landlord information page. It is important that you read every bulleted point here. It's important to note that by signing this agreement, the landlord understands and agrees to the following information. The tenant should be accorded all rights and responsibilities due any tenant under the law. The landlord is considered a vendor by CPC and will be issued a 1099 for any payments made through this program. The landlord will need to complete and submit a W-9 and ACH form before any payments can be processed. The landlord will not proceed with eviction, if applicable, during the time frame paid by this program. The landlord understands that the payment could take up to 30 business days after all documentation is submitted. The landlord understands that the landlord-tenant rights and abides by Fair Housing Act, and the Fair Housing Act prohibits housing discrimination on the basis of race, religion, sex, disability, familial status, and/or national origin. And the landlord understands that the lessees who are roommate and are listed in the lease will be processed as separate applications, and payment will be made for a proportionate amount of rent. After that section, You will certify that in no case am I entitled to a payment for a month that the applicant does not reside at my property. If I receive a direct deposit payment for a month that the applicant did not reside at my property, I shall remit to Community Progress Council an amount that represents the overpaid amount. To return such amounts, payments shall be made to Community Progress Council at the following address. I must return any direct rent payment for months where the tenant has not occupied the property. I may be prosecuted if I commit fraud or knowingly assist an applicant to commit fraud. If I am found guilty of committing fraud, I will no longer be entitled to receive direct rent payments. I may not acquire rights to sue Community Progress Council for payments of rent or a breach of any obligation by the tenant. I understand and certify that I am not accepting rental assistance payments for rent due that has already been assisted through a subsidy or other rental assistance program. And I verify that I am the landlord identified in this application and hereby consent and agree to the above listed terms. Once you read through that thoroughly, you can again sign and certify that you agree to those terms and certify that the information on this application is true. Once you're finished with this application, you can click submit. Once you submit, you will not be able to modify this recommendation after submitting. Once you're ready, you can click yes. And you'll be able to see that the recommendation was received for this tenant. You can then download this recommendation for your files. If you have more than one tenant applying and asking for a recommendation, you can hit return to my recommendations and you'll see the list of your other tenants waiting for their portion of the application to be completed, or you can log out. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you need further assistance with your application, please reach out to the Community Progress Council or the number of partners around the county willing to assist with this application. Thank you.